Hello, my friends. So I came up with something today that I'd like to share with all of you. It is within the eye of the storm that we have the greatest opportunity to rise. And I say this because one, I was just in the midst of Hurricane Milton, and the eye of the storm was supposed to take a direct hit right to where I live in the Tampa Bay area. It wound up going a little further south, and my heart goes out to those people of Siesta Key. And although I am referring to Hurricane Milton that just passed, it really can be applied to any storm that's going on in any of our lives. It is my calling to help people who are suffering through a challenge in their lives. Most people who follow me are suffering through health challenges. However, this can be applied to any challenge. It can be applied to relationship challenges or financial challenges or self-esteem issues. People who have a hard time achieving their goals for what they want for their bodies, for their lives, in whatever capacity that looks like for them. Because when we're in the midst of the storm, it's difficult to see beyond the fear, beyond the doubt, beyond the worry and the restriction of how this challenge is limiting us. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I experienced the storm, because it does apply to all challenges. When I was preparing for Hurricane Milton and it was supposed to be hitting us directly, I was out in the stores and I felt the energy from everybody in this community who was still here. There were many people who were evacuating. I happened to be in a non-evacuation zone, so it wasn't mandatory. And I have a large family, including 4 dogs, and I wasn't able to leave. So I was doing my best to prepare my home, prepare my family to be safe in the storm. And the energy of the whole area was basically in a state of panic and worry and fear. And I felt it. I felt that energy coming, creeping up within me. And being someone who's very aware of my inner environment, I took that opportunity to recognize that this feels scary. This really is happening. And it does feel very real and very frightening. And yet I got to choose how I was going to respond to it. It was a very similar thing recently. I went through another frightening experience when I was on my way to Portugal, and I got really freaked out when I was on the plane. I heard this creaking going on in the roof of the plane even before we started to move. And I was flying on a local airline that I had never heard of before. And I started thinking thoughts, like, oh my gosh, is this airline even safe? What kind of plane is this? I've never heard creaking in a plane before. We're not even moving. And then the images of the plane like breaking apart midair were like streaming through my mind. And that caused me to be in a state of fear and focusing on the worst case scenarios. So based upon my training and what I've done in my past, when I've had experiences, which I've had many, of where I felt challenged and I was in the middle of a storm, I brought myself to my essence, to my true nature, which is within. Instead of focusing all of my attention on what's going on around me or even on my thoughts, I calmed my body down. I recognized that I was feeling very anxious. I was noticing the tightening in my body and the shallow breathing of my body. And I decided I'm going to take my power back from this experience outside of me that's causing my inner state to get caught up in the state of fear. And this is what I'm inviting all of you to do, regardless of what kind of challenge you're experiencing now. Many of us are going through not only our personal challenges, but we're really feeling the effects of what's going on in the world today. just being here in this day and age of what's happening in all the different areas of the world that can very well cause us to feel frightened, and the uncertainty of what's to come with all the different areas between economics and political and peace in the world and all the things, the natural disasters, things that happen that are totally not within our control. We could very easily feel like we are just victims of our environment. And of course, we can feel that way in our own personal lives as well, with regard to any limiting circumstances that are going on in our current life. We can use all of these challenges, whether it be personal challenges or global challenges. They're actually here in order to serve us. And I know that it's difficult sometimes to believe, and it's really difficult to transcend when it feels so scary. But I'm here to share with you that that's really what they're all here for. So when we start to change the perspective that we have on how we're viewing it all, and we start to ask ourselves, how can this challenge serve me? How can I grow from this challenge? How can I allow this challenge to cause me to start to learn new things, new insights, new ways of rising above the challenge so that I don't have to be an innocent victim. I don't have to be a passive bystander or just a victim to my circumstances. By going within, which is what I mean when I say take our power back, we are no longer allowing all of the external circumstances of our life, including our thoughts about them, to dictate how we are choosing to feel and how we are choosing to perceive them all. It's our perception that is the driving force in how we are feeling. And it's our emotional state that causes everything in our lives to be. We are the creators of our life. So when we are aware that we have the power to influence what happens in our life, and that we are the ones who get to choose what we put our attention on, then we take our power back. So rather than get lost in the thoughts that our mind is feeding us of the worst case scenarios, this is an invitation for anyone who's watching this, who is feeling anxious about the state of the world today, or feeling frightened or worried about any other challenge, including personal challenges. This is your wake-up call. That's what the challenge is here to do, is to wake you up to your greatness, to your power, to who you really are, to focus your attention within instead of without. Because when you focus within, that's when magic happens. That's when you are able to connect to something far greater than just you, because we are all part of something that's so far greater. We're all one. And we feel so separate when we're here on this 3D planet. However, the truth is we are all connected, and you're not alone. We literally are a drop of the ocean, but when we open our hearts, we become the ocean, and we feel so safe and knowing that there's something so much greater at play here. And all we need to do is focus on that everything is happening for our greater good, and let go of the anxiety, let go of the fear, and become the creator of your most amazing life by using the challenges in your life, the challenges that we're all experiencing together as one, to use them all to let it elevate us and become the master of our inner environment instead of the helpless victim to the external world that we don't have control over. If you are going through a challenge and you're having a really hard time dealing with it, I am offering free 15-minute energy assessment calls, because really we are all energy, And when we start to become even more aware of that, and we bring ourselves to an elevated state of energy, instead of getting caught up in the reality that we are perceiving with our senses, that is when we can transcend any challenge going on in our lives. So I'll be happy to provide you. So now I am offering 15-minute free energy assessment calls to anybody who could use some extra support and guidance in your journey of transcending the challenges that you face in your life. Okay. Mwah. I love you all. I hope this has served you.